A few days ago, we took a look at the differences between the DJI Mini 2 and the fairly recent Mini 3. I think it's only right that we do the same exact thing with the Mini 3 that was here before the Mini 3. What I'm talking about, of course, is the Mini 3 Pro. Now, if you did happen to see my Mini 2 versus Mini 3 comparison, you'll be familiar with the format of this video since it'll be very similar. So the topics we're going to be going over today are the different options, the different conditions you can get each drone in, the compatible controllers, the important specs, the prices for everything, and finally I'll give my perspective on who these drones might be for. So as you can see here, before I go on to the different options, I do have 3 boxes here on the table. This one is for a Mini 3 Pro, this is for a Mini 3 and a Mini 3 Pro here. But the idea is really just to kind of show you what would come in the boxes before I explain them. So with both drones, you have 3 different options. You have the drone only, which is available to those who somehow already happen to have a compatible remote controller. And we'll get to the 2 main types of remote controllers later. But the most significant thing to know about this option is that although it is the cheapest, you will not get a remote controller at all. Then you have the standard options for both, which will come with one of the 2 main controllers I keep mentioning, and just about everything else you need to get going. The last option I do not have a box for on this table, but that option is called the Fly More Combo. This option will come with everything else I just talked about with the other 2 options, but most notably it will come with 2 extra batteries, a charging hub to charge all 3 batteries you'll have as a result of buying the Fly More Combo, 2 extra sets of replacement propellers for a total of 3 pairs, and a shoulder bag that you can stuff every single thing in that box you get into that bag. One thing I do want to talk about, and this is something that is actually separate from getting any options with the drones, is the Fly More Kit Plus. So this kit must be purchased separately. It does not come as a package with any drone, and it goes for $249, or you can try and go ahead and get it used like I did for $209. Aside from not coming with an actual drone, it does come with all the extras we talked about in the Fly More Combo. The biggest difference with this kit is that it'll come with 2 extended batteries, which are called the Intelligent Flight Battery Plus. These can extend your battery life anywhere from about 10 to 11 minutes, and they do make the aircraft heavier, which I'll also get to in another part of this video as to why that's important. As far as conditions go, the Mini 3 is new, which means you can only buy it in brand new condition at this moment in time. Since the Mini 3 Pro has been out for a while, it does come in either refurbished condition or brand new condition. Buying refurbished can save you a bit of money, and having owned refurbished DJI drones, I can say firsthand, you won't notice any differences between a refurbished and brand new product. They feel just as good, they fly just as good, and the best part, you can still put DJI care on them. As a matter of fact, I just received this one back from DJI, and I'm not even sure if it's actually refurbished, but if it is, I wouldn't be able to tell. So we're finally going to go ahead and talk about those controllers I've been mentioning so much. So both drones are compatible with 2 main controllers, the RC-N1 and the DJI RC. Now the RC-N1 is typically the controller you'll probably see a lot of people with. It is the controller that has come out with the DJI Mini 2, so it is probably the one that most people will have. This controller comes with every single thing you'll need to connect mostly any smartphone, which it comes with a Type-C to C cable, a Type-C to micro USB, and a Type-C to iPhone cable. Some of the benefits of this controller is the fact that it can charge your phone while in use with this controller. It does allow you to have a higher resolution display, provided you have a phone with a high resolution display. It has an external antenna right here where your phone actually sits, and this can potentially convert into increased range or a more stable connection. It's a 4-hour battery life, and it is fairly compact and small. Some things to be aware of with this controller is the fact that The cradle for where the phone sits only extends so much, which means if you have something like a Galaxy Z Fold 4 like I do, you can't put this whole thing in here. You'll have to kind of fold it down, but any other candy bar phone should be fine. And on the back here, there are no screw threads, so you can't put a lanyard on this, and there are none on the bottom either, which just means you really have to be able to hold this controller very securely because your phone's going to be in it as well as the controller is going to be what you're using. You don't want to drop both of those. Then of course you have the fairly new still, I mean this came out when the Mini 3 Pro came out, but the fairly new DJI RC. And the DJI RC allows you to have this sort of all-in-one solution that has a customized version of Android and the DJI Fly app built in. Some of the benefits are it has a fairly large 5.5-inch display. It has DJI's OcuSync 2 all the way up to OcuSync 3 Plus, which means it's capable of technically displaying a 1080p feed at 60 frames per second, provided you have a drone that's compatible with it. It charges via USB-C, and it has a micro SD card slot so you can save your content from the drone directly to the memory card here, and a USB host port for also connecting things like a flash drive. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are built in, as well as the ability to screen record. And on the back here, you do have some screw threads that allow you to put something like this, a lanyard holder, and you also have 2 more threads here on the bottom if you prefer to use a neck strap. Some things to be aware of is the fact that it has a maximum brightness of 700 nits. It is bigger than the RC N1. It can take a pretty long time to start up. I mean, when I say pretty long, I just mean in the grand scheme of things, if you were trying to catch something like a sunset or like a bird that passed by or something like that, it takes fairly long. It could take up to like 20 seconds, I would say. 21, 22, okay, like 23 seconds. It takes some time. And of course, you'll definitely have to remember to put a micro SD card in here if you want to save photos from the actual drone directly to the controller. Well, more so the memory card, which effectively means you need one in the drone and one in the controller. So now that we have gone over the controllers, as I promised before, let's move these out of the way and start talking about some of the important specs for both of the drones themselves. So right off the bat, the first thing you'll need to know is that both of these drones do weigh 249 grams with their standard batteries, and 290 grams with the Intelligent Flight Battery Plus. If you're unaware, the weight of a drone is pretty important because you'll have to register any drone over 249 grams in order to fly legally. This means that if you're using the Intelligent Flight Battery Plus, you'll definitely have to go and take the trust test from the FAA and register your Mini 3 or Mini Pro, since you'll be using this battery. If you only plan to use the standard battery, then you really don't have to worry about registering either of these, at least not right now. That could be subject to change in the future, but who really knows? Now, battery life on the Mini 3 is actually slightly better than what you'd get on the Mini 3 Pro. And by slightly, I mean that with the standard battery, you can get about 3 to 4 minutes more when using it with the Mini 3. And with the Intelligent Flight Battery Plus, it's kind of the same thing here. And I'm suspecting the reason you get better battery life on the Mini 3 versus the Mini 3 Pro is because there are no obstacle avoidance sensors here. At least both drones do charge at the same 30-watt speeds, whether you're charging the battery inside of the drones or in the two-way hub. The camera is pretty much the sole reason that anybody is looking into a drone, and I can say that the cameras on both drones don't disappoint. Of course, the camera specs are pretty similar on both, but the Mini 3 Pro has a ton of features that can enhance your experience if you choose to use them. First, let's talk about what's similar. So both drones have the same camera sensor size, field of view, aperture, shutter speed, are both capable of shooting photo and video in 4K. They can both record in HDR, have the same zoom capabilities, can shoot photo and video vertically, and they also have the same gimbal movement range. As far as the differences, the Mini 3 Pro has a slightly higher max ISO. You have a max of 3200 for the Mini 3 versus the max of 6400 for the Mini 3 Pro. The max photo resolution on the Mini 3 is set to 12 megapixels versus the 48 megapixels you get on the Mini 3 Pro. The Mini 3 can shoot 4K footage at a max of 30 frames per second, while the Mini 3 Pro can also do the same, but can additionally shoot 4K in 48, 50, and 60 frames per second, although not in HDR format. If you plan to do some advanced color grading, then the Mini 3 Pro can shoot in the normal profile and decinelite color profile, while the Mini 3 only shoots in normal. So the funny thing is, I've actually had the Mini 3 Pro since it came out, but one thing that surprised me during the construction of this whole comparison is just how many darn features this thing actually has in terms of the camera. Let's start with the features you'll get on both. For photos, you can take single shots. You have auto exposure bracketing for taking multiple shots with different exposures, and time shots where you can set a timer anywhere from 2 seconds all the way up to 60 seconds. Video capture is pretty straightforward. You just set the quality and press the button to record. There's not really any magic there. Both can do what's called quick shots, and the similar options you'll get on both are Droney, Rocket, Circle, Helix, and Boomerang. The last similar option you'll get on both is the ability to do panoramas in 4 different ways, including in a sphere shape for a full 360-degree view. Now let's go ahead and talk about the differences, or pretty much the reason you would spend the extra cash on the Mini 3 Pro. So with the Mini 3 Pro, you get one more option for quick shots called Asteroid, which is kind of like this fly back and upwards mixed with a panoramic kind of shot thing. You're going to get the ability to do master shots, which makes it so that the drone takes a series of different shot types for when you can't decide what kind of shot you actually want to take. You're going to get hyperlapses, which are cool for having that moving time-lapse effect that everybody likes so much. You have slow motion at 120 frames per second if you feel like seeing some slow footage for some reason. And finally, you get the focus track, also known as active track set of features, which are my personal favorites. These sets of features allow the drone to take control of the gimbal and keep a subject, whether that be a person, animal, vehicle, or static object, at the center of the frame. Let's actually go ahead and talk about the 3 different options you can use with this. So the first option you have is Spotlight, which makes it so that the gimbal stays focused on whatever subject you chose, while you move the joysticks on the controller in any way you see fit. This is really good if you want to control how the drone moves, but find it hard to control the gimbal while moving the drone at the same time. Next up, there's Active Track, which automates the flight of the drone while keeping the subject centered again. You have 2 options for that automatic tracking, which are Trace and Parallel. Trace primarily keeps the drone moving behind you while avoiding obstacles along the way, while Parallel keeps the drone on the side of you, or whichever side you choose, and still kind of does the same thing without the obstacle avoidance. The last one here is Point of Interest, and this one, like the other 2, keeps the subject in the center, but automatically circles around the subject at a speed of your choosing. So yeah, to kind of summarize the idea of the camera features you get on the Mini 3 Pro, it's really that there are quite a bit of them. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll need all of them. It's just good to know that they're there as an option. Like I always say, it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. When it comes to obstacle avoidance, both of these have downward obstacle avoidance sensors, as you can see here. The Mini 3 Pro does have an advantage here because it does have 2 more than the Mini 3 on the bottom. And the Mini 3 Pro also has the advantage here again because it does have both forward and backward facing obstacle avoidance sensors that will help you not crash your new expensive drone. As far as video transmission goes, and yes, that was definitely pun intended, the Mini 3 uses OcuSync 2, which has a max live view quality of 720p at 30 frames per second and a max range of 10 kilometers. The Mini 3 Pro takes it up a notch by using OcuSync 3. This transmission has a max live view quality of 1080p at 30 frames per second and has a max range of 12 kilometers. So I think the quality of the feed is kind of important depending on what situation you're in. If you're flying out in open, broad spaces, you really won't have to worry about this much, but when you're flying in something like a forest, it could be the difference between you seeing like a little twig hanging down or maybe even clipping the leaf off of a pine tree or something like that. So on screen here, you'll notice that I have the feed from the Mini 3 on the bottom while the Mini 3 Pro's feed is on the top. This is a map I have in my room, and I kind of got the idea to see if I could see any differences between the clarity. And I have my own opinions about the quality of both of the feeds here. However, I thought it would be better to just show you all and let you decide for yourself whether it's going to be worth it or not. For the last set of specs, both drones have the same level 5 wind resistance. The Mini 3 has no storage on board, but the Mini 3 Pro has about 2 gigabytes. Both take micro SD cards, have USB Type-C ports for charging and data, and that kind of ends all of the similarities there. So the last thing I wanted to show before moving on to the prices is how fast these acquire GPS signal. So on the bottom we have the Mini 3, on the top we have the Mini 3 Pro. Now, typically in my experience, the Mini 3 Pro does acquire GPS signal pretty darn fast, like much faster than it is right now. But overall, the GPS array that is in the Mini 3 is the same as what's on the Mini 2. So you can definitely expect it to be just as fast as that, but the Mini 3 Pro will do better at acquiring satellites in most cases. Okay, so with all of those specs out of the way, finally, I suppose the burning question is probably, how much will any of this even cost? So if you are planning on purchasing one of the drones in the drone only option, you'll be paying $469 for the Mini 3, while the Mini 3 Pro by itself will cost $200 more for a total price of $669. If you plan on purchasing the standard package with the RC-N1, then the Mini 3 will cost $559. If you happen to have $50 more and don't mind buying refurbished, then you can get yourself a Mini 3 Pro with the RC-N1 for $609. If for some reason you hate refurbished products, then you can definitely buy the Mini 3 Pro with the RC-N1 brand new for $759. Now, you're going to want to remember that these options do come bundled in the Fly More combo option. So for that, the Mini 3 with the RC-N1 plus Fly More combo goes for $718, while the Mini 3 Pro with the RC-N1 goes for $948. FYI, there is no refurbished Fly More combo package for the Mini 3 Pro with the RC-N1. If you've fallen for the DJI RC because you want that all-in-one controller, then the standard option for the Mini 3 with the DJI RC can be yours for $699. The Mini 3 Pro luckily does come in refurbished condition with the DJI RC, and that can be yours for $729. But again, if you somehow hate refurbished products, then go ahead and buy it brand new, and that will be $909. The last two prices for the drones with the DJI RC and the Fly More combo come in at $858 for the Mini 3 and $1,098 for the Mini 3 Pro with the DJI RC and Fly More combo. Again, there is no refurbished option here to buy the Mini 3 Pro with the DJI RC and Fly More combo. One thing you're definitely going to want to remember is the existence of this, the Fly More Kit Plus. If this was of any interest to you, then my personal recommendation would be to only look into buying the drone only or one of the standard options for both the Mini 3 or the Mini 3 Pro. Also, just to reiterate what comes in this package, you're getting a two-way charging hub which can be used to charge any of the Mini 3 or Mini 3 Pro batteries. You're getting 2 extended batteries, 1 USB type A to C cable in order to charge all 3 of those batteries. You're also getting 2 extra propeller sets, and you'll get that bag so you can put every single thing in here. Like, I literally have every single thing in here, like a lot of different propellers, some USB-C cables. I got the drone right there. I got the controller with the case on here. I got my ND filters. Like, you get the point. It's a really nice bag. Maybe I'll do a review on it one day, who knows. So now we're at the point where you're probably wondering which drone you should buy. So honestly, I can't give you a straightforward answer to this question because for one, that would kind of be unfair due to my own bias, and for two, it would depend on the type of person you are and if you have 2 things: curiosity and time. Now, before you go ahead and write off what I just said or look at me like I'm crazy, let me explain. If you are the type of person that only cares for the basics and aren't worried or curious about any of the extra or enhanced features of a product, then the Mini 3 would probably be a good pick for you. If you are that kind of person that is interested in seeing all of the stuff you can possibly do within a particular product, then that means you have some form of curiosity about how everything beyond the basics can benefit you. This is where the Mini 3 Pro might come in. The other aspect of curiosity is time. After all, if you're curious about something, you'll need the time to explore and learn about whatever it is. So let's say you do go for something like the Mini 3 Pro because you've seen all of the features mentioned in this video, and now you have that wow factor in your mind that might trigger an impulse that says, I need to get this because this has all of this stuff that I can potentially use. Then you do get it, and you still have it in your mind that you want to try everything out, but you just don't have the time to do so. At that point, I wouldn't say you wasted your money per se, but if you just don't have the time to figure out all of this stuff, then none of it will matter to you anyway, really. All in all, I really think that both of these drones are going to be a great choice for anybody, and I don't think that anybody who purchases either or would be disappointed with them. It's just, you have to ask yourself, do I want to just do the basic photo and video in the best quality I can get in this size of a drone? Or do I want to be able to do that and have all of these automated features that I could potentially use and take that experience further by a little bit or by more? So I know that that was probably a really weird perspective, but honestly, I had been thinking about how to say this for days, and this is just kind of what came to me, so don't sue me. I am human, I have flaws, and that's where I'm at with this. Okay, so we did go over a ton of stuff here, and honestly, I really do hope that you got something out of this video. Maybe there were some things you didn't know, maybe some things you didn't consider, and ultimately, I really just want to have people make the right decision for themselves, but you have to be armed with the knowledge to do so. I'm also curious to see what drone you're gonna go with. If it's something, that is completely different than both of these drones, I'm also interested to know that too, so leave that in the comments. And if you do like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. With all of that lengthy stuff being said, have a great day, a great afternoon, a great evening, or a great night, and I will see you in the next video. And thank you for watching. I'm gonna go to sleep now.